Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Resident Evil 2 Remake, no damage, S+ rank, Leon B run. We're starting the same place that we started with Claire in the previous video, and now we're taking it on with our good buddy Leon. So, most of the game is going to be very comparable to what we did in the other campaign. The only difference will be a couple of the flavours and modifiers that Leon has to face. But at the beginning, the same deal, guys. When you pick up the bolt cutters, you want to hold right on your analog or on your keyboard so that you immediately sprint away from that first zombie that it puts you next to. And then if you do this, you have a really nice line that will lead you all the way up until the bolt cutter door. So in order to avoid touching the door before you try to open it, if you try to go past the door instead of into it, you will interact with it without fear of Leon trying to test the door. This will save a little bit of time if you wanted to go quickly, but you don't need to do it, but it's one way of avoiding that kind of annoying mechanic. At the beginning here, you'll notice that we're picking up a different handgun. It takes the 45 ACP caliber. It is pretty interesting, and something to know on this run is I'm going to be a little bit more efficient in my movements and a little bit more efficient in what I choose to do with my actions, because I've already covered this campaign with Claire and I've already done a campaign with Leon, and I want this campaign to showcase some different strategies for people as I miss all of my shots there with this new pistol. But kind of the impetus on this run was me getting used to shooting the zombies for stuns and then running past them instead of shooting them to decapitate or to sever a limb. Traditionally and conventionally, I would make them lose a leg, fall down, and then run past them. But in this particular video that you're going to witness, I'm going to be focusing on shooting them in the lower part of their leg, in their shin. When you shoot below the knee, you seem to have a better chance of stunning on hardcore difficulty. It's one of the most consistent ways to stun. That's the reason that you're not going to see me shoot people in the face, because the face is not consistent on this difficulty. This corner is programmed. When you get to this corner, these two fire guys will be here. That right there was the grail. Whenever you get a one bullet flinch on a knee, you got really lucky and the game favoured you. And then additionally, guys, you're going to see me utilising the movement tech that the speedrunners do. Be careful of Elliot here. He can grab you. He's grabbed me. The speed tech is quite simple, folks. Whenever you aim on stairs, when you come out of aiming, you get a slight speed boost. It's incrementally small, but it does add up over a long run. And it's just the fastest way to move. And to kind of add it to my portfolio, I'm going to try to do it a little bit more. There's also a little bit of optimized movement that I'm going to try and showcase, which you can experiment with if you want to do. You don't have to, but it involves doing kind of pitched turns. So for instance, if you're on a corridor that's straight and it has a right turn at the end, if you hug the wall going straight forward, and then as the turn approaches, if you completely turn to the right, you will see Leon do almost like a speedy boost pitching turn. And it's one of the more optimized ways to move. I haven't done it yet because I wasn't messing around with it at this point, but you should see it later on. And if you don't see it in this campaign, you'll see it in my next campaign. Because if I can give you an extra tool in your arsenal, even if it's just a little bit more optimized movements, you might be able to have more success. But I pick up the bullets off the body, I pick up the valve, and then over here we're going to be opening this door. This is the first moment on Leon's campaign where you might get a little bit scared, especially in A scenario with Leon, because there could be more zombies on that corridor than there was just then. Also, be careful of this curtain. Give it a wide berth or get ready to shoot the Japanese tourist, because Shinji loves to hang out by that curtain. He bit me a couple of times. This was the most trolling run I've done so far. Of all of my campaigns, I generally got quite favourable RNG. I only got kind of screwed up in the places you expect. For the most, I was very, very fortunate and I had a good time. This campaign, I got screwed a lot. And the reason I'm doing this, guys, is there's a licker above me just there. Boarding that window up will make it so that when we come back here, when the licker's here again and Mr. X is coming after us, it'll make it a little bit less stressful. Something to bear in mind with him, you can stunlock that licker with the knife if you wait for him to come down off the wall, and then you can just kill him. If you're using the infinite knife, I recommend killing him, because he is one of the biggest areas of resets in this run, in my opinion, just because, depending on the programming of Mr. X when he turns up, will depend on whether or not getting the lever for the library is going to give you problems. Speedrunners like to touch a door, the purple door or the pink door for Claire, to despawn the licker, but it doesn't always work. It's one of those things where sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think you have to do it repeatedly. It's tech that I haven't really tried. But if you've ever seen the speedrunners examining that door and you wondered why they did it, it's because it usually gets rid of the liquor. And the liquor ended up making me fail this section, and I put a fail video up of it. So if you've watched the fail video, guys, you've seen the fails on this run. You've seen some of the awkwardness that I had to put up with, which wasn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. I got real bad psych out on the corridor, ended up going a different way, didn't open a door, didn't have a key, and got caught between hell and high water. And then in the car park I got attacked by a dog through the door, which that's something that can always happen, and it's one of the most annoying parts of this run, because it's an easy way to fail on something that you can't really have too much control over. I kind of feel like I love the way the dogs are designed, and I love the fact that they're weak, but it'd be really nice if they went down quicker. Like, if it was one bullet to kill the dogs, but they did super damage, I think I'd be even better with them. Because getting hit by the dogs is something that, as long as you have a gun and you shoot them, should never really happen. Especially if you're using a mouse. And right now, I've picked up the shotgun and I'm waiting for these guys to come in. You might wonder why I chose to kill them here instead of killing them at the beginning. I clear this corridor because I'm going to probably come back through here with the liquor, and I don't want to get into a spot of bother with a crawler. But I killed them the way I did just then because the shotgun guarantees a decap on both of them. If you wait for them to open the door, you get a guaranteed sizable shot that they cannot duck out of. And if you've played this game a decent amount, you'll know that when you aim at zombies, they can do very weird things to avoid that reticle. And there's nothing worse than having a perfect shot, and then they suddenly swoop down and do some crazy dad dancer to wedding, grab you and bite you and, you know, ruin a run. But there's 2 bullets in that locker. Moving through here, there's going to be a guy that breaks through this window. You cannot stop him doing it in this scenario. But if you've already played it as Claire, you'll know that this is a much more crowded scenario anyway, so having more zombies is not really much of a problem once you understand how to deal with them. And I'm going to be coming up here and shooting this guy in the leg. Luckily we get another 1-bullet knee tap, which is really, really fortunate. On Reddit, when I was looking at some of the damage values that people were theory crafting and kind of empirically testing, it turned out that shooting them below the knee seemed to stun periodically more than shooting them above the knee, but I seem to have success with anywhere from the knee down. So that's what I would recommend. Once again, guys, it's just from my own personal experience. It's not objectively true, but it will help, and hopefully it'll help you. But cruising into the library, you might see some movement there. Oh no, I didn't do it. Yeah, I'm not using the movement just yet. Then you might wonder, is there a real reason to use it? It just makes you a little bit nippier. It makes you feel a bit faster. It kind of cuts corners a little bit. You might be able to duck a grab or duck a potential damaging moment by doing it. And here we go, picking up the book for the Magnum later on. I will be getting the Magnum in this run, guys. I wanted to reincorporate it into the videos, because it's probably my favourite gun in the game, and it's going to give me the luxury of having a much easier Birkin fight. If you watched my previous campaigns, I ended up putting myself in a spot against Birkin where I had to play a lot better than I need to, and when you get the Magnum, it just affords you so much more luxury, and because this is meant to be instructional and try to help you guys have the confidence to do this, hopefully that will help. But the guy to my right just here, I will not kill him in this run probably, and if I do, it's unfortunate because you don't have to kill him. You can do everything you need to do in the RPD without aggroing that zombie. You never have to aggro him. The only way you'll aggro him is if you climb the ladder or if you attack him. For everything else, he will literally sit there, performing anilingus, and you can leave him to his fetish. As we cruise back into the main lobby, and then we now move forward across the balcony. We're going to come down and pay a visit to everybody's favourite zombie. And it has to be said, guys, on the B scenarios, this room is considerably more difficult because there are about 3 ambient zombies that roam. And I don't know if they're programmed to just be assholes, or if they're just incredibly assholey by nature, but they have this tendency. I think I'm going to get grabbed here as well. That was a bit of the movement tech, by the way. Oh no, no grab, thank God. She grabbed me. Do not shoot her early, guys. She recovers really quickly. You want to be up her ass if you can when you put that bullet in her leg. Like a donkey punch to the leg with a gun. But use the key, get into this corridor, ignore the zombie directly in front, go in the room, and then get ready for arguably the first test of your RNG. I've never been hit by this liquor until I did this run, and then I got hit by this liquor. Really, really demotivating, to say the least. And especially when you can't skip this cutscene. I feel like this cutscene gives you just long enough time to get nervous. But the idea is simple. Turn around and run towards the door. He will never hit you until that one time where he bloody hits you. And then that doesn't always happen, but depending on where he is will depend on whether or not you want to risk it. So you can choose to deal with that zombie before you go in the liquor room, but I've never been grabbed by him. I've had moments of really terrifying semi-grabs that missed me like just then, but fundamentally, he's never had his fingers on me, and I'm cool with that. If he wants to pretend, if he wants to do a bit of the old fake grabbing, I'll let it slide. So that's the reason why I don't deal with him. But you do have the tools at this moment to do exactly that. You have a shotgun, you have a pistol, you probably have a knife. I'm going to be saving the knife, guys, because on B scenario, you don't get two at the beginning. On B scenario, I need a full knife for Birkin so that I can do the most damage. And I believe in this one, we get a pretty good Birkin fight. In my final campaign as Claire, I get the worst Birkin fight I've ever done, so I'll look forward to that. And I couldn't honestly tell you why it happened, because I knew what I did wrong. I knew when I was doing it wrong, and thus I end up doing something different. But the good news from something like that is that I can acknowledge that it was wrong, I can show you why it's wrong, and you can learn from it. But this door's really bad when you backtrack, guys, because this guy is always close to it. I'm going to wait for him to open the door and I'm going to run past him. Whenever a zombie opens a door like that, you can get past them every single time without incident. Then we're just going to try and kneecap this guy. Notice how I shot the thigh and it didn't stun him, but then I shot the other leg lower and I got it. And then we can progress into the steam room. In here there's going to be the Magnum's ornate box. Make sure you pick it up, guys. It's one of those things on the route that I always forget because I'm not used to it being here. And then another thing is going to be inventory management. I feel like your inventory management on the B scenario is a lot more stringent. You have to really pick up what you need, or you're going to get into circumstances where you have to dump some good things. And my inventory management is okay, but it's nowhere near as good as it could be. Something I need to explain as well, because I've seen some comments on the other runs. A lot of people play this game on standard and don't seem to understand how hardcore works in a couple of the areas, and that might be my fault for not explaining it clear enough, so I want to at least get rid of the misnomers at this moment. Some people have mentioned, why don't I pick up really easy to access hip pouches that increase my inventory space? Why am I running past these important resources when I can carry more things and make myself a more, fundamentally better character when it comes to what I can carry? And the universal truth, guys, is they don't exist on hardcore. The ones that you think I'm skipping are not there. If you play hardcore, you'll learn this very quickly. There are 3 possible pouch upgrades, I believe, on hardcore for Leon. The first one is the one in the safe that I always get, the only one I get. The second one you can get later on by using the portable safes, coming back with the buttons and opening up the armory, which I'm not going to do because it's a waste of time and I don't need it. And then the final one is the one at the end of the game in the labs when you get the Game Boy Color and you take it all the way back to where you got the ID bracelets upgrade, and then you use it in there and you can get an upgrade from there. I think having 2 extra slots is enough to do everything you need to do on this game without incident. I think it's fine. Additionally, guys, if you don't pick up the battery in this room, you will not trigger Mr. X, as evidenced just then. People seem to think going on that corridor triggers him. It does if you go to the end, but it does not if you come in this room. Right now, you'll hear the boots. X gon' give it to you. Jason Blaha in his big boy shoes is coming for you, and now we have to get the medallions and get out of dodge. But that's the simple reason, guys. It's not that I have something against not picking up the inventory space. It's just that on hardcore there are less, and I feel like once I have one, I have enough to do everything I need to do. Could I have more ammo, and could I end up getting way more resources with more space? Definitely. But the point of these, to help you, is to prove that it can be done with less. And it's not trying to show that I'm amazing, and it's not trying to show that you're bad. It's nothing like that, guys. It's not meant to be judgmental. It just is what it is, I'm trying to show you all the ways that this game can be done. I'm trying to show that you don't need to be a great player, you don't need to play perfectly, you don't need all the bells and all the whistles. You can get it done, you can scrape your way through, you can claw, you can tear, and you can still see success. And as long as you're getting whatever you set out to get, your S rank, your hardcore run, whatever it is you're doing, your minigun, thing like that, as long as you're getting them at the end of this, then the video's doing its job. But here are the puzzles, guys. Puzzles are different on B scenario. This is the second time you're seeing them. You can just kind of pause it and see what they were if you get confused. But there is no licker on this. This is a licker fake out. Instead, Mr. X is going to chase you, but at this point it's not a problem at all. And I think, don't quote me on this, I think we're at about 17 minutes right now on the in-game timer, and doing RPD 1 in 17 minutes when you're not, super speedrunning like a crazy person is pretty slick. So if you do have to reset at any point now, you're not losing a lot of time. But one thing to bear in mind right here is on another run I got massively trolled by zombies in this main hall, and I hope I don't get trolled again here, so fingers crossed we get a better run. And right now is a problem. I have so much bollocks on me that I'm going to have to go down the stairs, put the medal in, come back upstairs, grab the medal, go back downstairs. Not exactly optimised, and when Mr. X is on my ass and zombies are all around me, this is a moment where you have to prove that you know how to play the game. Because this is one of those emergent moments where you have to react, you have to do what you can, and that's the reason I pulled the shotgun out. The shotgun for me is my guarantee it's going to work button. And I don't need to worry about the ammunition because I'm not going to need it. This is a tool that I already have the resources for, and I already have the resources planned on where I'm going to spend it. So right now, this is all gravy. And for some bizarre reason, I don't know if you've noticed, Mr. X went away. He came into this room, he played his fantastic music, and then he took his boombox and he left. And I don't know why. He doesn't usually do that. He didn't do that when I was Claire, I'll tell you that much. He must want the tight booty a little bit more than Leon's boy pussy. But come over to the box, and then you want to dump off everything you don't need. So for me, the only thing I'm going to take into this fight is my pistol and my knife, conventionally. That's usually what I would take. On this run, I'm taking a few more things because I'm not quite as experienced. Oh my god, it was a 16-minute RPD. Nice. That was really nice. Very inspiring, guys. If you're getting out of the RPD in about 15, 16, 17 minutes, you're doing really, really good. You've got a good pace, you don't have to worry about time. You just have to make sure that you don't get sloppy against Birkin. And the good thing about Birkin, guys, is if you stand close to him in the strategy I'm going to show you, he will always try to grab you instead of physically attacking, and you'll never get hit by it. I suppose the biggest problem is if you're playing on console and you've got like 40 frames per second, your knife is going to take a little bit longer than mine does, so you're going to have to put bullets in him. But do not use the knife on console, guys. There's this misnomer right now. This is the movement, by the way, guys. You see this? That's the advanced movement. That's the thing that shaves off a few like microseconds and what have you. But there is this false information going around that using the knife on console is worthless. Guys, the speedrunners who have the world record on console or on, like 60 frames per second, they use the knife. Do not sleep on the knife. Just because it's not as broken as it is on PC does not mean it's bad. It's really, really good. But as long as you keep Birkin to your right now, you can hit him the maximum amount of times. And then what you want to do, guys, is when he stops transforming, you want to move towards the back of him so he walks in front of you. And as he does this, you want to throw a grenade towards him, because he's going to do like a U-turn. The grenade will stun him and down him, and now you can proceed to slash him and it will stun him again. When he goes down after the stun, break your knife on him, and then proceed to shoot him with whatever you've got. I didn't realise this Birkin was this clean. I actually thought that this was going to be an inferior Birkin, but so far this is going okay. It didn't go as good as my practice run because I killed him with one bullet afterwards, but this is taking a few more. But this is a really good example of, my knife is not as good as the speedrunners, guys. My frame rate's only like 90 and 100, I think. I think it goes a little bit higher and a little bit lower. But if I had 120, he would have died from what I just did to him, but he didn't. And all you need to do is improvise. And the best way to improvise is bring a gun that you're confident in. Do not use the shotgun, guys. Only use the shotgun when he's stunned on the ground on the eye, because according to some damage tests that people have done with that speedrunners tool, the pellets don't hit his weak spot consistently, and it seems like you're doing less damage than you should be, because the shotgun's really, really good up close, but apparently to him, it doesn't register the same kind of damage, so it's quite wasteful to use it. I don't know if that's 1000% confirmed. That's something that a tester noticed, and I just thought it was worth mentioning. Once again, guys, grain of salt, but apparently save your shotgun on him. And I agree anyway. Just then, I showed you a very good strategy on exactly what to do. Break your knife, use your pistol, come out of there with a decent amount of shells, and you'll be fine. And of course, if you're playing Claire, Claire is so goddamn strong at this point. She has the potential to use the machine gun, potential to use a grenade launcher that is so wonderfully broken. There's almost no planet where you're going to ever struggle when you have that gun because it's just stupid. Like, Claire is so overpowered. She has the best stunning pistol with a quick draw on the leg. She has the best iframe tool, which is the grenade launcher. She has that stupid electric gun that kills things almost instantly if you hit that final charge. She's just so broken. And then the machine gun is both really, really good for utility because it's good at hitting small things and having a decent amount of ammunition, and then it does really, really good damage as well. Leon super gets shafted in this game. I kind of feel like Leon is kind of the place, the proving grounds for Remake 2. I feel like if you can do Leon, you're going to have a much better time with Claire. And it's funny that I say that, because if you watched my blind playthrough on Twitch when I did hardcore for the first time, I had a tough time with Claire when I first played as her. I felt that the B scenario was just really brutal. And admittedly, I did a lot of things wrong. A couple of philosophies I took into this game, guys. I played a lot of the demo, and it taught me some decent bad habits. But one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to kill as many things as I could, which, when you're playing Resident Evil, is never a good idea. I think we can all agree. And then another thing I wanted to do was I wanted to shoot things in the head. I knew that taking legs was the most effective way. I knew that you could get stuns on body parts. I knew all of this information, but I chose to ignore it for just the enjoyment of the run. And in the end, I ended up having a crazy tough time. We're talking, when we got to G5, I think he is, you know, the final train boss, even though it's a gimmick fight, which I didn't know at the time. When I got to that encounter on my first run, I only had a grenade, about 11 bullets, and a knife. That was it. I had almost no damage for that boss. And at that moment, everybody seemed to think that you had to put so much ammo in him. People didn't think I was going to be able to do it. And I did, because it turns out it's a gimmick fight, and you only have to attack it at a certain point, and you'll kill it pretty easily. But that's the kind of woes that I came across in those original labours against the difficulty. And I came out of it thinking, Jesus, Claire B, way harder than Leon A. And I still kind of think that the RPD, which is the hardest part of the game, I think, technically, the RPD on the A scenario is so much easier because there's just no zombies. You get so much ammo, you get so much safety, you get so many opportunities to get set up and get established. Whereas in B scenario you don't, because you're immediately in with Mr. X, you're immediately in with zombies in places you never dreamed they would be, and it really does take a little bit more finesse to do the beginning. But I feel like once you get past RPD, the game just gets way easier for B scenario. Way, way easier. I'm shooting the dogs again, not to piss Peter off, but just because I don't like having them wandering around. If you're going for no damage, the dogs are going to be one of the points of contention that can get you hit, and there's no reason to ever take a risk. I love when people run past them, I think it's awesome, but you have to realise, guys, if you ran past the dogs, you got lucky. There are a lot of people that try to convince you that running past the dogs is 1000% consistent, and it really isn't. Certain dogs, yes, other dogs not so much. Because it all depends on what they decide to do. There are certain dogs that are easy to consistently run past, but then there are ones that aren't. And it's just, this game can be so evil when it wants to be. I don't really know how much you're going to see in this run of this game's tendency towards being wicked, but it is a very cruel game at times, guys, and if you're having troubles with it, you're not alone. Everybody is. Like, I've seen people who play this game every day, do speedruns, like 30 speedruns a day on hardcore, consistently, and they can't even get out of the first part of the game, because the game is consistently being a bastard, and you need to understand that. There comes a point when it doesn't matter how skillful you are, you're going to have those resets, and because S Plus has such strict guidelines on the saving, the very first save is easily the biggest crux of this entire pathing. Your entire adventure is going to be anchored on whether or not you can get to that first checkpoint and where you decide to place it. A lot of people in my Discord, they seem to want to save a bit earlier than I do, and they seem to have had success with it. A couple of people save pretty much where I do, a couple of people save at Birkin 2, which I think saving before Birkin 2 is probably the smartest way. Oh, watch this, by the way. Is this the run? Oh no, it's not. It must have been in the one where I got hit. That dog I thought was dead, and he wasn't, and he ran all the way next to me, and I somehow managed to kill him without being hit. I got very lucky. Fortunately, it's made me less complacent on this run, and that shouldn't happen again. And I think I'm going to try a new technique here, because my idea was, do you know how when you do the Birkin 2 fight and you can grenade the door, and because he stood on the other side of the door, you can immediately get to phase 2 without attacking him? I thought maybe if I threw a grenade at this door, it would kill the dogs on the other side. So what I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm going to shoot the dogs to aggro them. I'm going to get them all jumping at the door like they like to do, and then I'm going to try and throw a grenade. It doesn't work. However, if you were to open the door and then throw it, it will work. The problem is, the chances of the dogs attacking you when you open the door is a dice roll. If you roll a 6, you don't get hit. If you roll anything else, you might not get hit. So you'll notice I put the shotgun on. I'm not going to fuck about. Right then, very lucky. The detection on that jump is so dodgy, it really bugs me. Because I love the dogs, I really do. And there's a part of me that wishes I had the balls to stride into that car park and just wreck them with my aim. I know I can do that. I know I have the flexibility and the capability to do that. But when you've been playing for 25 minutes on a saveless run, the performance anxiety, it's just too much. The idea of doing that, nah. I just can't bring myself to do it. I play too safe. I really do. And it'd be really sick if you could get back to the room that Ada's in without going through that main area. Because if you get to Ada, get the keycard, and then come back into the room and trigger Mr. X, it despawns the dogs. But the problem is, to do that, you have to run through that room. And running through that room with three of the dogs on your ankles, once again, did you do it? Well, you must have had an angel on your shoulder, you know? Because that's the distinction here, guys, and it has to be said. Doing this game, S+, is really manageable. With enough time and enough practice, everybody can do it, I think. With the right guides and the right tools and the right tips, I think you'll be fine. Oh my goodness, that was bad. I should never be missing that shot. Oh my god, the second shot didn't kill. Wow. That's exactly how you do not use the shotgun, guys. Do not do what I just did then. I always like to shoot Elliot in the head here too, because you usually get a head pop, and it's so satisfying getting rid of this little bastard. Because I don't know what it is in this game, but when zombies lose legs, they become god zombies. There's something about being handy accessible in this game that it turns these dudes into the most lethal things in the game. I am more afraid of a zombie with no legs than I am the final Tyrant. That's a fundamental failure of game design, but it's true. And you know why? I can defend myself against a fucking Tyrant. I can't defend myself against some ankle biter that climbs all the way up the top of me, gives me a hand job, and then bites my neck. The worst design in this game. And you know what's really funny? I've probably said this several times, but I'm going to say it again. In the original Resident Evil 2, anything on the ground is free. Because Leon goes towards it, it grabs his leg, you mash the buttons, and he stamps their head in. He caves their dome in with his boot. This Leon? He must be wearing expensive Italian leather shoes. He has no intentions of soccer kicking the tits off them, and I have no idea why. I want to pay Leon in this game to go to Brazil and train with Mauricio Shogun Hua. I want him to learn how to pride stomp the fuck out of another human being's head. I really do. And if you didn't understand any of that, Google's your friend. But I'm coming into the attic here, guys, to get rid of these two zombies. You do not have to do this, but if you do get rid of them, it's an insurance policy for the shortcut or the long cut that I'm going to be taking coming back, depending on what you decide to do. Me personally, once I place these cogs, I like to come back through this room, go down the stairs, go out the back, go outside, and then make my way back that way to the car park. You can, of course, go through the RPD and then make it back way through the corridor where we originally went to try and save Elliot. You can do that. A lot of people do that instead. I personally don't like doing it that way, and because I haven't done it that way a lot, I'm afraid that if I decide to do it, I'm going to run into a variable I didn't expect. And you might see in this footage Mr. X being a bit of a dick, and he gives me a couple of opportunities to go back through the RPD, and I choose not to take them. If you're comfortable with going both ways, or going the RPD way, feel free to do that. And I say the RPD way, technically it's all the RPD, you know what I mean. Got a new strategy for you here, guys. Turn the lever, throw a flash grenade, run in, grab the key, run out, run past the zombies. You do not have to shoot a single bullet at them. I saw Distortion do this on a speedrun, and I thought I'd try it out, and it's a really, really sick strategy. And the reason why I do that like that, guys, is because the strategy I'm going to show you with Leon against Birkin 2, you do not need flash grenades. Flash grenades can help, but you don't need them. I'm only going to use one, and I'm going to use the one that they give you. So it frees up my flashes. I'm also going to show you more silliness against the Tyrant, because I believe in this run, I'm going to show you that you do not need grenades to beat him. I'm still going to use grenades, which might sound quite hypocritical, but I'm going to show you some setups that enable you to use less grenades. And it's just how to get back into the loop of him not being able to hit you when you're out of it, which I think is really, really good to know, because you can exploit the boss. Oh, and this is good too. Notice how I've always stood to the left of here and sometimes he's lost me. This time he didn't. This is really important, because you need to understand, guys, it's not always going to go your way. However, this section on my Claire A run that's coming up, guys, you have to watch it. I have never seen the biggest piece of bullshit in my life until that moment. I just had never witnessed it. It's so anus clenching. I'm telling you, it would pierce diorite. It would. It was so bad. I'm not even going to say any more. Check it out. Absolute horrendous. I'm so glad it was in the successful run as well, because you get to see just how bad it was. And I was nervous now, guys. I was really nervous here. This is where I failed last time. If you've seen the fail video, you've already seen me fail on this section, on a run that was just as good as this. So, I'm cognizant of the liquor. I'm cognizant of Mr. X. I'm wondering how this is going to go. Is the liquor going to be the problem? Is Mr. X going to be the problem? How is this going to work? I come in here, I grab the grenade because it's essential, but then I realise I don't have the space. Really frustrated that I don't have the space, but what can you do? And do you hear the footsteps? That means he knows where I am and he's coming to me. The moment I picked that up, it programmed him to come to me. It doesn't always do this. On that fail video, it didn't do this and it threw me off. So now, I'm going to exit this room, and I see the liquor, so it tells me that he's not in front of the door, and I'm going to walk. This is a really nerve-wracking moment, because you cannot run or the liquor will hit you, but Mr. X is also quite quick. However, when you get to this radiator, if you run, he should not be able to have caught you in the time it took you to get there, and you're safe. Right now, it's back in your hands. You don't have to worry about any more variables. You can go to the library. You can do the puzzle. We should be good. And in my brain, folks, when I get to this point, I've done the first run. I've done the first checkpoint. Because right now, there is nothing left in the game that I can honestly say will screw me over. And if it does screw me over, it's because I played bad. It isn't the game with its RNG throwing some curveball at me. It's me not doing what I should have done. And do you notice how he's still giving that starfish a nice tongue lashing? That dude is a brown hole stabber, 3rd degree black belt. He's really getting in there. But I didn't realise he never ever aggroes until you touch that ladder. And now I've touched that ladder, we'll never see him again. So that saves you a shell. You can also save a shell on the guy by the door, but that forces you to constantly hug the right part of the door, which can be awkward. And then additionally, I think when you come back into the room when Mr. X is on you, I think he stands up then. I think that's one of his triggers. So, for future reference, you can only get rid of 2 zombies there and save the 3rd guy, because he's going to make this video unsuitable for ads on YouTube with his sexual proclivities. Oh, by the way, did I pick up the cog just then? Because somebody mentioned in my other video that you can pick up the cog immediately after you've started the staircase coming down, which is true. That's what the speedrunners do. I tend not to do it, purely because generally I don't have the room for it, but this is one of the rare moments where I had the room to do it. So, that's another strategy for just optimizing your route a little bit. And additionally in here, guys, there is an extra door in this room that will give you a large gunpowder. If you're interested in getting gunpowder and you have the space for it, feel free to do it. It can give you some nice shotgun shells or some nice bullets, depending on what you're using. After I did these runs, I really came to appreciate the pistol a lot more. I'm very critical of the pistol in this game, because I felt that it's always been kind of underpowered, and it should have been better. And I still believe that 1 bullet stun to a weak point on a zombie should be a guaranteed thing. If you shoot them in the face, it should interrupt what they're doing. It doesn't have to be a long stun, it can be a short stun, but it should stun them. Shooting a zombie in the mouth and not getting a stun is one of the worst parts of this game. Oh, additionally, guys, do not linger near the doorway. Mr. X can actually pull you out of the safe room by clipping you through the wall. And I think I speak for everybody when I say the last thing you want to happen on this kind of run is for you to throw away a good run on damage from Mr. X. You should never take damage from Mr. X if you've played this game a few times and you understand how he works. There's almost no excuse. Which leads me to an interesting topic of the previous run. There was somebody that mentioned they thought it was annoying that I was very critical against healing in this game. And I tried to give the guy an idea of what I meant, because it's not meant to be annoying, it's not meant to make anybody feel bad, it's not meant to be judgmental, but it probably comes off that way because almost everything on the internet does. And to kind of paraphrase and wrap it up for new viewers if you're wondering, in my opinion, guys, every time you make a mistake in a video game, as long as you can accept that it's your mistake and understand why it happened, you can work on fixing it. And there is a choice that you make as a player. You might think, why do you take this so seriously? It's just a game. I don't. I take this very seriously because I love games. I've loved games my entire life, and I take a lot of passion in learning games and being as good at them as I can be. And I will never be the best, but I will always try to be the best. And I think that's important. By the way, guys, I'm waiting for him to go down here, so right now we can move back into the area and move forward finally. So there he goes peering through the doorway. We can now move onwards. Careful shooting your gun, it's like ringing a dinner bell, he's going to come straight for you. But at this point, unless he teleports, which he can, he will never catch you, and you're safe to get back. So make sure you have a flash grenade for the upcoming section in the car park. But there is a choice in video games, guys, and it's a big choice, and it's a choice that a lot of people don't realise they're making, and it's a choice that a lot of people don't even realise is a choice. And that choice is, do you want to become a better player, or do you want to play with a better character? It can be subtle, it can be not so subtle. However, every single game generally has this. Do you want to stay on normal forever, or do you want to see what expert feels like? It's a choice. Do you want your character to be a god and unkillable, and you have to do almost nothing to win? Or do you want your character to be so fragile that it's 1000% you and barely anything else? It's all a choice, and it's all about what you value. To me, I want to push myself, I want to do things that I feel are impossible, I want to consistently see how far the fringe is from where I am, and if I can cover that distance. Not everybody's like that, not everybody should be like that. The idea of doing some of the things I've done on my YouTube channel to some people probably sounds like hard work and painful and just miserable, and some of them were, you know? You have to feel the despair to feel the awe, and it's not for everybody. It's like anything else, you know? You know when they ask people, why do you climb a mountain? Why would you do something so dangerous? I don't understand it. Why would you do it? And their answer's that most beautiful, simple, kind of Occam's razor thing, isn't it? Why did you climb that mountain? Because it's there. And it's kind of the same context here, only less impressive. I do this stuff because it can be done, but not many people think it can be. And this is a very small, very, very small increment of that, because S ranking this game and S plus and no damage and whatever is actually pretty easy in the grand scheme of things. I'm not saying that once again to make anybody feel offended. It's just true. In the grand scheme of what can be done and challenging things in video games, this is not up there on the list. It's tough, and you should be very proud if you do it, especially if it's outside of your comfort zone. But if you do challenging things with video games and that's kind of how you find your enjoyment, then you're not going to get that itch scratched to you. You've probably already done this without saving. S plus, no damage, no saves. People do things like that. That's outside of my wheelhouse, because that to me just sounds fucking miserable. But I know people will do it, and I know people will have fun with it, and more power to them. You know, the whole point of this at the end of the day when it comes to games for me is having fun, and even when I'm in the gutter getting bullied and hating my life, I'm still enjoying it in a strange kind of masochistic way. But I'm going to dodge Mr. X in the same manner that I usually do. I would love to shoot him with a Desert Eagle to give you a different strategy and stun him in the face, but I always feel like it's a bit of a waste, so I don't do it. Here's the flashbang. If you've played the new Ghost Survivor DLC, you'll come to really appreciate flashbangs, because the amount of enemies on some of those corridors, flashbangs are going to be your best friend. So if you ever see an opportunity to pick a grenade when you're in those slot machines, in those like fruit machines, always pick the grenade, guys. I can't even tell you how good grenades are in this game. The grenades in this game are probably broken. They're a little bit too good, and I love that, because it evens the score, because the zombies in this game are really fucking broken too. So you get to fight broken with broken. But this is the part of the run where the nerves subside and you get to be confident for a while. because the only thing to do here is to pick up the shotgun upgrade, the grenade, and the pistol bullets in Kendo's store, take on the crocodile, which is essentially an interactive cutscene, and then from that point onwards, all you really have to do is get rid of a couple zombies who are really easy to kill, and then get past the G-Unit member, and then boom, you've got your first save if you're going to be following my line. But we do have to wait for Ada to come through this door, so this gives me the opportunity to talk about the Noir outfit that I'm wearing. This outfit is by far my favourite in the game. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I like this outfit, sorry. Don't know where that came from. There's a quick time check for the people wondering what my time is. I love it, I really do. There's something about costumes in games. Give me a costume that I like in a game and I will play your game far longer than I ever really should or have any right to do. It's just one of those cosmetic things. I am such a cosmetically driven person at times that the outfit can be the decider. And to give you an idea of how crazy I am with that, I bought the DLC outfit for Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. You know, the one where Ryu's shirtless and he's got like the red highlights on his trousers and he looks all super cool. I should have got that when I bought that game because I pre-ordered it and it was apparently a pre-order thing, but I think it only was in America. So I had to then, after the fact, pay more money just to equip that outfit. And here's the funniest part. I didn't like Razor's Edge. I think Razor's Edge is shitty. It's not my favourite Ninja Gaiden. It's not a bad game, but I just don't like it that much. However, that outfit, I like more than I like the game. And it made me play the game more than I should. So, outfits to me are so sick. And the only sad part about them in this game is if this had come out in the 2000s on the PS2, they would have been in the game, and you would have unlocked them by doing cool things. But because we live in a different culture of video games now, you have to buy them additionally, so that you can give extra revenue to Capcom. And I just don't think a different outfit is kind of worth it, personally. I think it's greedy. And I understand you can get the deluxe edition and you can get them all, but a bunch of palette-swapped pistols and fucking outfits that... I don't like that sheriff outfit. I think it looks dumb. I appreciate what they're doing with the Walking Dead homage and everything. I really like the Hunk outfit, but that isn't even an intentional outfit. That was a bloody mod, you know? And this game could have done with some cool costumes. Like, Leon's costumes are sick. I like them. I really like his injured costume, you know, post-Ada section. I think that costume's fantastic.
No chance. You're stuck with me today.
But that's one of the areas I think this game definitely stumbles on the cool shit to unlock. But here is Croco. Everybody's favourite fight. Which I wish you could do this differently. I wish you could fight it at least. But this is so scripted that you just can't do shit. And the sequence is the same every time. Dodge left, dodge right, wait for the second bite, dodge left, and you've won. And I don't know. How would you do this differently, guys? What would you do? I don't really know. I mean, you can't do much different, can you? Because there's nothing you can do here. I wonder if you can go up to him and knife his teeth or something. Just like slash his nose. But make sure you pick up a grenade in this area. Very important to get that grenade.
Chew on that.
But I do say, you can be liberal with your grenades if you want to, because once again, I'm going to be giving you so much tech for the final boss that you're probably not going to need it. And you should already have a decent amount from the other stuff that I've done. But I wanted specifically to show you throwing a flash grenade to get the rocket launcher. Which is a strategy that I see a lot of people doing. You don't need to do it, but it definitely eradicates a lot of RNG. Because the biggest problem with Final Tyrant is he has a tendency to do the thing you don't want him to do when you don't want him to do it. It's the same with Birkin 2. You know how when you don't want Birkin 2 to jump, he jumps, and then when you want him to jump, you get the slow walk towards you and the 3-hit combo? It's kind of like that. But Ada takes a while to get through these sequences, which is unfortunate. But I don't blame her, dude. She's walking in heels. And the police officer in the new DLC has her pistol for some reason. Some crazy Chinese knockoff, which doesn't make much sense.
Our military? Somebody else?
I also talked over two of the worst lines in the game. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I have to do it because it makes me giggle every time. That explains the things I've seen. The completely tonally off in every conceivable way does not fit the mood of the conversation, which I don't know why they let that in the game, because it's not even the actor's fault, it's just bad. It's bad from everybody concerned, the director, everything. Like, there's no planet where it should have been like that, and I find it hilarious that they left that in. And then the next one, when you're on that corridor, and he's like, "You told me they could turn them into weapons, not reptiles," or whatever it is. Like, they were doing it to humans, not reptiles. And it's just the way that he delivers the line. It's so dead. There's just nothing, is there? It's so bad. And I think it makes it worse that Ada is kind of quite suave and really good with her lines. Every time Ada speaks, you're like, damn, I kind of want to bang her. But at the same time, she's really cool, you know? She's like espionage and stuff. I feel like she might kill me, but at least I get to come or something. Whereas Leon, you just think, this guy's retarded. I think if I left this guy alone, he'd be licking the windows. And I don't want to feel like that, because he's meant to be the hero, right? He's meant to be the first day on the job, you know, John McClane, the average Joe getting thrown in there and overcoming incredible odds. And he just comes off as special bus material, and it's really anachronistic to the original Resident Evil 2. Leon in the original Resident Evil 2 is still a rookie, but he took charge. He rose to the occasion, where this guy's just kind of like, that explains the things I've seen. Like, come on, dude. I really just feel like he doesn't embody the role as much as he did in the original. And you might think that, well, in the original it was super cheesy and just like machismo action movie stuff, wasn't it? But that's what made it good. It was dumb, and it knew it was dumb. Whereas in this game, it plays it a lot cleaner in this game. It's a lot more stern and more serious, and he just comes off as like an ex-boy band member who just doesn't know where he is because he's lost his phone. I feel like he spends most of the game worrying about his Instagram than he does actually doing anything of usefulness. Like, how the fuck does he not think that Ada is a scumbag, right? And admittedly, you know, she's pretty, so maybe he just got blinded by that. I feel like they wrote him down a few pegs from what he used to be. Especially considering what he's like in Resident Evil 4. In Resident Evil 4, the dude's like James Bond. He's just like flipping through windows as shit explodes and like winking at the camera. Whereas in this one, he is not, dude. It's like he's just walked off the set of Hollyoaks, which is probably not an international show, so half the audience has just gone, what's one of those? But once again, guys, Mr. X is on us. If you press the button quickly rather than holding it, you will hack these faster. It is faster, but I don't know how fast you have to tap it. At this moment in time, I don't think you have to tap it too fast, and it will still be quicker. And you can tell it's faster on the Inferno puzzle when you go into the incinerator, because you end up coming out of the incinerator in the 40s instead of in the 30s, and it's not difficult to do, so if you want a little bit of a time save. Here's me messing around with it. I don't feel like you move very fast when you use this. I feel like I've just been, I feel like that's a slow tech. Should have put a pistol on to do the stairs. But, you know, who's going to discount all the Frozen section if I don't have my zapper on? These are the real questions that Capcom needs to answer. Okay, Bangle time. Which, there's some really, really nice moments in these Ada sections. I feel like the dialogue between Ada and Annette is not as good as the original, because in the original there was a bit more mysteriousness to it, where Ada didn't immediately come out and say like, yes, I'm trying to get the G-Virus, I don't give a fuck, I'm wearing a dress and stilettos. Whereas in this game, she just doesn't give a shit, does she? She might as well walk around waving a flag saying, I'm not really the FBI! But she does have some good comebacks and some retorts. There's a bit of sass there, and I like that. I appreciate that. This is a pretty slick puzzle. I didn't do it the fastest that I could do it, though, because I just got out in 40:54, didn't I? Whatever that was, 40-something. But there you go. Pretty cool, right? Ada's cool. I hope we get some Ada DLC. I feel like Ada could have had way more sections, because she's just so interesting. And I never thought I'd be asking for more puzzle sections in this game, because usually the puzzles kind of wind me up. This is more advanced movement as well. Which, I say advanced movement, it's not because it's harder to do, it's just because it's a little bit more optimized than the standard movement. And the way to do it on analog is kind of difficult. To get the perfect pivots like that on analog is going to require some serious execution. And I haven't actually tried, so it might be super easy, but on mouse and keyboard, on the keyboard, when you're running forward, you're holding forward the forward key, and as you get to the corner, you have to immediately drop the forward key in favour for the turning key, so for the right or for the left, wherever you're going. And then as you do the pivot, from there you can then tilt the camera and then transfer back to forward again. So it's a little bit precise on, for instance, if you hold forward and then you try to hold right to get it, he will not pivot, he'll just go diagonally. It's very animation based, and on a controller, of course, with the analog, because it has the omnidirectional input, it might be difficult not to hit that direction, whereas on a keyboard, there's up and there's right. To do up and right, you have to hold them both. You have no fear of pressing them both, because it's harder to press both than it is to press one, so the precision is a little bit different. Also, be very careful of that zombie. His progress seems to be linked to some kind of timer, and if you're a little bit slower or off cycle, he'll be way further than you expect him to be, and he's easy to get grabbed by because you don't expect him. And you don't have to kill these zombies if you don't want to, guys. You can just stun them in the leg with the pistol and run past them. But I really do enjoy killing them with a shotgun, and that's exactly what I just did. But over here's a knife. Make sure you pick up a knife, dude. You're going to need one for Birkin 3. The knife against Birkin 3 is incredibly good. It's also it's good against every Birkin, let's be fair. But against Birkin 3, it is especially good. But I don't know what my Birkin 3 fight is like on this run, because I've since done another run, and I can't quite remember the differences, but we'll find out together. There's the Vagisil, so you can make some more shotgun shells or magnum rounds, depending on your mood. This is some technology on the G-Unit that I might not have shown yet. So if you shoot him, he'll bust out of the water, and as long as you're not in the radius of that move, which is actually quite huge, you can run past him without fear of being grabbed. It works both ways too. If you're on a ledge and they're in the water and they're active, if you shoot them, they'll submerge. So you can shoot them, dive into the water and get on with your business, and they will not bother you. It's really, really cool. I'm hoping you get to see a bit more of that. And then this is that tricky room for Claire that's got nobody in it for Leon. I have no idea why this room is so stacked for her. Like, where the hell do those zombies even come from? How far into the adventure is she to come through this room for it to be so crowded? That's one of the things that the scenarios really drop the ball on, isn't it? They don't really give you a sense of time or place. It just seems like two disconnected places that look the same. She certainly gets the shit stick on that. But access the box. Dump all the things you don't need. You're going to need the space for 3 things. Technically on Leon you need space for 5 things, because you're going to be getting the T-bar that's going to open the doors. You're going to get the 2 chest pieces that are going to open the door to the boss, and you're going to need the flamethrower. If you do not get the flamethrower, you are in for a tough time. That being said, you can kill every boss in this game with a knife, which is not something you really want to be doing when you're going for no damage S+. Like, taking on bosses with the knife and no damaging them with the knife is something you want to do with a lot of saves. That doesn't mean it can't be done, and I have no doubt somebody will do it, but that person is not me, and yeah, not something that I'm all that interested in doing personally. Which was kind of funny, because when the game first came out, there were a lot of people showing up to streams and, you know, commenting places and what have you, and they were saying all this shit they'd done with the knife, and it was really impressive sounding stuff, right? Beating bosses with just the knife, doing this with just the knife, bunch of knife-only stuff. And then everybody realised that the knife was the strongest fucking weapon in the game and completely broken. And it's one of those things where it completely kills the impressiveness of it, doesn't it? Even though it's still impressive. Because to knife a boss, you have to understand its movement, you have to understand where to be, you have to understand where not to be. It's still a really, really good showcase of knowledge and you know, pattern memorization. But fundamentally, that was a mistake, by the way. I didn't mean to climb up there. I really don't like the movement in this game. It's annoying. Like, fundamentally, killing things with the knife is kind of one of the best ways to do it, because it's so bloody strong. And it's... I kind of feel sorry for those knife people, you know, that have always done the knife stuff. And then this game makes the knife so ridiculous that everybody uses the knife. Like, I remember back when Resident Evil 0 came out, and I was covering that game, and I tried to do no damage on that game. And I no damaged the whole game, but I couldn't do the final boss, because the final boss is super bullshit. I ended up going to I think it was one of Furry's streams, and she was speedrunning the game. And then on her channel she had videos of her knifing the Tyrant, and just like circling around him and slashing him. Doing knife only in Resident Evil 0, something that I wouldn't have even contemplated she was doing at the time. So, you know, if you're one of those type of people who's just throwing around crazy knife-only strats in Resident Evil because you love the games and you play them to death, And then you come to this game and you realise not only does the knife stun lock lickers. Oh, I'm going to make a mistake. Shit. I'm getting grabbed, guys. So it's this video, is it? Yeah, you hate to see it. 2 runs in a row of me doing bad things. So the good news is, you can watch that and never repeat it. And the even better news is, on my next run, I will show you that strategy as it's meant to be done. Here's what I did wrong, guys. When I shot him, you immediately drop into the water and immediately run past him. If you do that, he'll submerge and he'll not even rise in time to stop you. I didn't have the confidence in this strategy, and I didn't know the animations enough, so I messed it up. It happens, and I haven't saved. That's the only reason you're seeing that. If I'd saved earlier, I'd just redo it. But unfortunately, I decided to be ballsy, I decided to get the chess piece, and thus, it has to make the video. But it's unfortunate. You know, I played bad. That's 1000% my fault. Learn from it, become a better player. You've just got to do it. On the plus side, though, we had a really sick Birkin 1. I thought that Birkin 1 fight was nice. That makes up for it. In the next run, the Birkin 1 is shit, but that corridor is nicer, so very happy that we've got such an interesting juxtaposition of runs coming your way. And I am thankful, guys, if you're watching these, because I don't usually do these big form videos. Commentating for an hour and a half is really tough to do, because it's one of those things where you kind of get bored of yourself. You don't really know what to say. But I'm trying my best to make this as interesting as I can and to give you the insights into what I'm doing, and hopefully they help. And if you've watched a bunch of them, I'm obviously doing something right, so big shout outs to you guys and thank you so much. And this doorway bugs me so much. Just a question, guys. How many people wish you could skip those opening sequences? I know it's only 5 seconds, but that's one of my big pet peeves in this game. Those doors should be skippable. Sitting there watching it go up with that awful screeching sound. Ugh. There are a few things in this game that irk me more. And everything in this game irks me, so to give you an idea of just the level of irkness, it's off the chart. It is rather vexing why they don't let you do that. But here is everybody's favourite corridor of doom. Wait for his face to open, run around the right hand side, never run around the left because you generally don't have enough space because of the collision on these enemies is ridiculous. Shoot this guy and hope he dives. He doesn't dive. If you have a grenade right now, throw a grenade and run past him, it's the safest strat. I instead go for this, which he goes for a melee attack and I'm already around him. I don't think you've ever seen me do it like that, which is kind of sick, so it's technically a new strategy for people. If you see that particular pattern arising, feel free to repeat what I did. And then we can do the puzzle and get on with it. But because it's B scenario, we have 2 zombies. And the zombie on the ground is a zombie you have to get rid of, in my opinion. If you don't get rid of him, he can cause trouble. The other guy you can trap, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm probably going to get rid of both, because I have a shotgun. And much like Rutger Hauer in a movie that one of my best friends really hates, I'm going to use it. So do I look up? You bet your ass I do. Yeah, I'm not messing around on this run. Which, this was... Once we got to this point, I didn't get trolled too bad. I got trolled in the beginning of this run, but in this part, I got these sections in like 1 to 2 attempts. Like, this was a first attempt Birkin, I think. First attempt Birkin 3, which is really nice, because usually I make stupid mistakes against Birkin 3 because I try something new. And when you try things new in this game, you get punished really hard. But one of the things I've noticed, guys, you know when he goes to pick up the objects and he throws them at you? I showed you a strategy where if you hug him, he generally doesn't hit you unless you're in one of those corners where he throws it at his feet. When you're hugging him, I generally just stand there hoping that I don't extend my hitbox and get accidentally hit by some bullshit nuclear hurtbox. Turns out, you can knife him while that's happening, and you're completely safe. So when he picks things up, you can just hug his chest and slash him a ton, and it's really effective. And it's one of those things I just decided to try randomly, and it's completely changed the way I look at that boss. Because previously, when he picked those stuff up, I used to get a bit pissed off, because it generally meant I'm going to have to dodge fire. And the fire is really blinding in this game. What do we get? This is weird. This is so weird. You never get this. That is a very fortunate retreading through this zone. Wow. Look at that. But once again, guys, if you're in this section watching this video thinking, well, that didn't happen on my game. Didn't happen on my game either, dude. This section's fucking stupid. This section is dice rolls. That's all it is. Get 3 dices with 50 sides, roll them. Did you get matching numbers? Probably not. Well, guess what? You're gonna get grabbed. But there's so many things you can do there to alleviate it. I'm stubborn. I always do this section with my pistol. That's it. I refuse to use anything else on principle. However, grenades are great. The grenade launcher's great. There's tons of tools to use in that section if you want to use them. It's entirely up to you. You can even use the Magnum. The Magnum is very effective against those enemies. But for me, nah. The moment I knew you could do that with only firing a bullet, that's exactly how I want to do it every time. Unfortunately, the game doesn't agree. The game will troll. When in doubt, game will troll. And you might be looking at my box there and thinking, Chris, you've got all those unlimited guns, why don't you use them? Well, unfortunately, if you pick one of those guns on a run, it invalidates your rank, so you cannot get S+. The only infinite tool you can use is the knife, and I still don't have that. But I recommend you get it if you're scared of this run and you're only wanting to do it once, because the infinite knife means you can kill zombies on the ground. Killing zombies without having to worry about breaking your knife and having to worry about ammo is so powerful. I would say it's probably the strongest asset you can get. Because all this really is fundamentally, this is a showcase of experience with the game. The more you've played the game, the quicker you'll do this, the more you'll be able to do it, the more comfortable you'll be while you do it. It's just one of those things. Oh, by the way, guys, this is the B side, so the chess pieces are in a different place. But as you can tell, because I did Claire so soon to doing this, I've got it memorized for once. Which I'm really proud of moments when I memorize things, because I often forget them immediately afterwards. And now we can put on our equipment, so I'm going to put a grenade on so I can skip the first phase, and I'm going to take my flamethrower into this, and that's all you're going to need. Flamethrower is so good against Birkin 2, guys. It's literally the strongest thing you can use here. And there's going to be somebody in the comments, isn't there? Well, technically, this is stronger, but if you can give me a salient argument on why you think another weapon is more efficient at doing this fight, I would love to hear it. Because hitting him with the container and just dodging him is definitely doable, but it's one of those things where that's not really going to help too many people, because to do that you have to understand the fight so well, you don't need help. I love this grenade, by the way. The way to test it as well, guys, wait for him to say Jesus Christ and then throw it at the left seam of the door. As long as the grenade hits about there and doesn't bounce funny, you'll be fine. I then proceed to try and shoot his weak point twice coming through. It's better to shoot it with the Magnum, but you can shoot it with the shotgun or the flamethrower, it's up to you. And now we're going to run all the way to the zone that we have to fight him in. We're going to pick up the flash grenade and the knife, and I'm going to stun him once, down him with the flamethrower, douse him in flames, and then I'm going to proceed to bait out one of his jumping attacks, down him again, and then kill him with the crate. If you're using the speedrunner's tool for this and you can see his HP, you have to get his HP to about halfway, and you will one-cycle him with the box. This boss has, I think, 24,000 HP, so if you do not get him down to about half, you'll have to do more damage, or you'll have to hit him more times. So really stick this in his ribs, really get all deep inside him, you know. Give him a bit of the old careless whisper, and then when you get just below 100, if you move over here, aim at him. You can still shoot him if you want to, but wait for that. And just then is a shit hitbox, being a shit hitbox, stunning me like a shit hitbox should, but it didn't do damage. And it happens that the hitbox on his jump attack is so wonky, if it was a penis, you wouldn't be able to consummate. But there he is. We get him with the one tap from the crane. The crane does an incredible amount of damage. It's really, really cool. And if you're wondering, folks, if you want to do that without using anything, if you kite him and hit him with 3 cranes, you will win. I've done that. But I really don't recommend it personally. Like, kiting that boss, you have to understand his 3-hit attack, you have to understand his programmed attack if you go behind him where he just spins around really quickly, and you have to understand what dictates his jump. And all of these things are easy to learn, but every so often he throws you a curveball, and I think if there's a really good strategy on a boss that involves generally being almost exclusively safe, why would you ever choose to be in danger when you can just do it like that? you know. Unless you're doing a challenge run. If you're doing a challenge run, knock yourself out. I'm probably going to do like pistol-only hardcore and shit like that. And that's going to be different because I'm going to have to get creative. But I would never do that on a run like this. Because to me, at that point, it's just so kind of dumb, isn't it? At that point, you are literally pushing it to its limits. But we get to the lab, which is... I think everybody can agree the lab is the easiest part of the game. Not only is the whole sequence very consistent, but you don't do much fighting. There's my time, 1 hour 4 minutes, doing pretty good. This is really fast for me, guys. I don't know if this is my fastest time, but it might be. And I'm really happy with my fastest time, because I'm not a speedrunner. I'm just not that kind of player. Maybe in time I'll develop into that, and maybe that's all I'll do. But as it stands, the idea of speedrunning gives me like a hernia. It's just not cool. Not cool for me. Too much stress. Those people are too godly. But here we are again. Final third of the game. Whenever I get to this point, I know I'm done. Because I'm so confident with the end of this game. It's interesting, isn't it? Every zombie that you come across, you can either avoid it or you can get rid of it very effectively. All the Ivy monsters, you can simply stun them by shooting their bulbs. And if they do grab you, make sure you've got a defense item. Mr. X shouldn't be a problem until he becomes a problem. And then the bosses are the bosses, you know? And if you've saved your saves like I'm going to save them, I'm going to save before Birkin 2 on this run. So, just then, did you see how my screen kind of changed? How the picture like shifted a little bit, like a couple of centimeters? That means that I alt-tabbed out of the game. And I did that just then to double check that I'm still recording. Because I get paranoid sometimes that I'm not recording. And that would be really miserable. But pick up the grenade, pick up the flamer fuel. You can hook a right there and pick up some bullets if you want to. But I have enough bullets that I'm comfortable in my ability to deal with what needs to be dealt with. Having the Matilda I think is a bit better at this point, just because when you get the stock you can shoot it quicker, and it makes it definitely more effective. The gun we're using, the stupid hold it sideways Ghetto 1911, that really pisses me off because it's a beautiful gun and I hate how he holds it. That gun fires pretty slow, and always be careful of this doorway, guys. Always be careful here. This dude is random and an asshole. But luckily, we get the window licker position, so we can move into spot and take his skull. Get a quick scalp, pick up the shells, pick up the upgrade that I forgot that time on the flamethrower. Don't forget it, guys. Very silly mistake. That will literally almost give you twice as much flamer fuel. That's the kind of downgrade you're getting if you don't get that. So make sure you pick that up if you're using the flamethrower. And it just so happens, I'm going to be showcasing some strategies that will enable you to maximize your efficiency with your flamethrower. Which is just a little bit of a setup to get 2 Ivies at once, basically, in the same plume. And additionally, be careful going past the door to the cafeteria. If you open that door via proximity, you can sometimes get that crazy bitch with the blonde hair cruising through, trying to drive by you. And she's never grabbed me, but she's nearly grabbed me. And then don't forget the Game Boy Color, which means, right now, this is a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. I should have put that knife in my box, but because I'm in such a quick pace, I'm just cruising forward, I'm adapting on the fly, and that was a mistake. Having 2 knives for the Birkin 3 fight is going to make the fight really quick, because when the knife gets to just before it breaks, if you swap to the other one, you don't have to stand as Leon stares at the broken knife like he's never seen a broken knife before, even though you broke 20 of the fucking things in the game, and then you're wasting DPS time. But move across the catwalks. I love this part of the game because it symbolises the finish line. And I just think they did a really good job with the labs in general. I think the Ivy monsters are super bullshit, and I think that if you're a speedrunner, you're going to hate them. Because of all the runs I've seen get fucked by an enemy, it's the plants. Because the plants are so assholes. Like, the amount of times they'll give you their back, and then they'll turn around and grab you across the entire room with a super sprint. The amount of times where you stun them, but it doesn't stun them because they're already in an animation and you didn't realise. So many moments of just, why does this enemy do this? But if you move forward past the powder, you can trigger the guy on the right, and then if you spray a little bit of the guy on the roof, he's going to fall down. He's then going to go up in his programmed animation where he's invincible, and then once he recovers, he's going to start staggering forward. You then want to start spraying a little bit of flames, and just as you start spraying, the other guy will turn up. If he doesn't, you want to put the first guy down, because at that point he runs the risk of moving forward quickly enough and grabbing you. And then when they're both on the ground, you can anoint them in liquid fire and just celebrate them in the Empyrean. The conflagration in celebration of just how much of an asshole these salad fingers are. And then when they go black and they burn up, you know they're dead and you can move on. Once again, guys, if you want to go quick, you don't want to do this. The flamethrower is definitely slow. You can shoot their weak points and run past them. And on B scenario, it's good practice because Claire has to run past them. And once you get used to doing this as Claire, you'll definitely not have the same amount of respect for that enemy. You'll be very ballsy. And there's an enemy that spawns in this room, and I really disagree with it, but it's just a reality of this scenario. And I don't know if it's in Leon's because he gets chased by Mr. X. I don't think it is. But as Claire, when you come in this room, there's just an Ivy monster stood in front of you, and depending on where he is, will depend on whether or not he door grabs you. And door grabs are essentially Latin for dog shit. But here we go. Input some codes. This is the second one for the B scenario. I was using my phone for this. I do not remember those codes. I'm terrible. And then when we come out here, if there is a dude in front of me on this path, which there usually is, I try to get his buddy to fall so I can hit them both at the same time. But it turns out Leon can only aim so high in this game. He has a limit to his aiming. It's like Lost Planet all over again. And then I put that guy down with a couple of bursts, and I'm trying to trigger the... There we go. That's what I was trying to do. And now I can use the full plume to hit his friend, even though technically I think they're invincible when they do that animation. Which, have I talked about that, guys? I should talk about that. So when I played this game with the cheat engine, and I had one-hit kills on, when this enemy stands up and it does its little strange animation, it's like moonwalk stepping thing, as he gets together before he starts moving, he cannot be killed. You can shoot him, but it does nothing. The moment he goes to a neutral state, and then he applies his normal movement, he can be killed. So it's best not to mess around until they're already standing. And it's a really, really good habit to get into, because as he's getting up, if you shoot his bulbs, it doesn't interrupt him. So he's in an animation that has more priority than his stun. So if you shoot that bulb, go to run past him, the moment he recovers from his normal standing animation, he'll grab you. And in this game, if there's anything near you of two different enemy types, they can chain grab, which I don't think I've mentioned, but you've obviously felt because this game's bullshit like that. So if you get grabbed by a G unit member, and there's a zombie near you, as you recover from the grab from the G unit member, the frame you are exposed to control again, the zombie will grab you, and there's nothing you can do. It's completely unavoidable unless you have a defense item, and as long as they grab you from the front, which they almost never do. You'll notice this in the Ghost Survivor a lot. There are so many circumstances where a zombie will grab you, and then an Ivy monster will grab you. And just zombies by themselves can be bad for it. It's kind of broken. Like, if you get grabbed from the side, and you move the opposite side away from the zombie, you will escape the grab. There is a grab escape in this game, but it's only from side grabs. However, as you're doing the animation to escape the grab, if another zombie is in close proximity, he can grab you out of that animation before you get a chance to do anything. And it's really bullshit. So you can duck a grab, which is rare in itself, only to get grabbed again. And that's the type of moments where I wonder what Capcom were doing. You should never, ever, ever get grabbed in the recovery of being grabbed. You just shouldn't. You should not have that modifier active. It should be delayed. There should be a grace period. Like, have you noticed when you get grabbed and bit, and you push the person off you, you don't get immediately grabbed again, do you? The reason that happens is because you're in a period of invulnerability to being grabbed. It's not long, but it's long enough for you to push past whatever the hell's in your way. And it's designed to make the game more fair, so you don't just endlessly get chain grabbed by the enemies. That was a licker, if you don't know this section, but if you run in here immediately, he generally doesn't do anything. And there's two of them too, so be careful. But there are just certain moments where it feels super bullshit, and I don't agree with it much. I understand why it exists that way, because in a lot of moments they would rather the enemies be too lethal than not lethal enough. Because this is survival horror. In survival horror, you expect to be bullied. You expect to be driven into the ground. You expect to be on the fringe of success. right there between that razor's edge of failure and victory. That's essentially where you want to occupy your time. But when we're doing a run like this, we want victory, right? So getting grabbed by something, and then getting grabbed by something else when you get away from it, that shit is the piss. This is the easy scenario too. When you come to the A scenario here and you have to go down there, plant that thing, and then run the risk of getting cornered in by the lickers, that is really annoying. And I've said this in most of my videos, I've never had a problem with those 2 lickers until I did, and I had a problem with those 2 lickers on a practice run I did of Claire A. For some reason, they both came towards me, and I tried to kite them and it didn't work, so as I tried to walk around them, I aggroed them. And I was on stream at the time, and I died, and I lost my progress. And it was one of those things where I've beat this game probably like 15 times or something, and I have never had problems with lickers here. Never. And then you watch this video, and the lickers are cream puffs. The lickers are doing exactly what they're meant to do, and this is really easy. But once again, guys, the game just does it to you sometimes. There are these moments where nothing makes sense. Everything is against you. And you need to know this, especially if you're going for a difficult run yourself. Because I do think this game is less about you and more about whether or not the game decides to let you win. It makes me feel a lot like fighting games on the hardest difficulty against the CPU. Did you land that crossover? Guess what? They let you land it. Because 9 times out of 10, they would have blocked it and DP'd you. Because that's just what they do. They know what you're doing. They read your input the frame you do it. You're fighting against something that reacts in a single frame. See, right now, I'm mad nervous because I hate that dude there. But he isn't here on Leon's story. Which I'm really happy about. I think it's a bullshit spawn, that one. I think he should be there all the time. I'd have no problems with that Ivy guy in that room if he was just in there. Because then you could deal with him, you could understand where he is, and you could get used to it. But because they make him spawn when he wasn't there before, it feels cheap. And then because I've got the flamethrower, I'm going to use it now to clear some enemies. I do this more so for catharsis than anything else. Because these guys can be a run killer. The idea that an enemy that has a grab that's as effective as those guys, that if you don't have a defensive item is a one-hit kill, is a cruel, cruel design choice that I don't personally mind because it doesn't happen that often, but at the same time, I feel like that's an enemy that's designed to make a new, inexperienced player hate this game. And I remember on my Discord when everybody was first playing it, everyone was saying that the Ivy's grab range was ridiculous, and it really is. And I'd not got to them at the time, so I was quite afraid. I thought they were going to be able to do like super stretchy arms and grab me like that. So when I got here and I came across these guys, and I didn't have any problems because I killed them with a flamethrower, I actually wondered what people were talking about because I didn't really understand why they were so bad. And then of course, you get grabbed from 10 feet away because he does his super speedy scuttle and duck and dive, and then you die. And then you realise, wow, if things don't go your way, they go real bad real quick. And it's one of the first things you learn about this particular title. And you always hear speedrunners, don't you, talking about RNG. RNG this, RNG that, and you always wonder, is it really RNG, or are these people just fluffing my ass? You know, it makes you think, doesn't it? Is he just making a mistake and trying to sound like it's the game? But then when you play this game, you realise, no, it's definitely RNG. And it's a term that I don't really use that much, because games always have inherent randomness. That's why we play them, right? If they were always predictable and linear, no one would play them because you'd learn the line and then it'd never be anything different. But this game is one of the most random games I've ever played. It really is. As we do this puzzle, AWS, spin the dials, ding dang do. I just had a commentary error, which is always really fun, when you commentate the end of a project and then realise that it's playing instead of recording because you clicked the wrong thing, which is almost impossible to do, considering I've been doing this for 8 years, and yet still I managed to do it. I surprise myself in my incompetence every single day. Wow. And it sucks as well, guys, because I always feel like the commentary that you do first is always better than the shit you do when you have to go back in. So I apologise if I ruin the rest of this video, but alas, here we are again, take 2. We're coming up on Birkin 3, If we were coming up on Birkin 2, I'd be ashamed. Because how the hell do I manage that? I haven't fought Birkin 2 and we're in the lab.
Now back to Ada.
We're going to be putting together some tools for destruction coming up. Remember how I discarded the knife earlier on? Discarding that knife is going to make this fight much slower than it needs to be, but luckily, because we have the Magnum, we have the damage to completely humiliate the boss, and we're going to do some really, really fun stuff, and hopefully it's going to help compound your knowledge and your experience with this creature, and it's going to make you even better at the fight. And then I have another clinic against the Tyrant, where I show you a bunch of ways to reset back into position to exploit his weaknesses. And if you don't have enough grenades to stun him perpetually, this is the strategy you're going to hopefully go to and get experience with and get comfortable with. Right now I have 17 rounds in my Magnum, and I have 17 rounds of Magnum and 3 rounds in the gun. So together with my 20 rounds of Magnum, we're probably going to have a pretty good time here. I'm only going to use 2 grenades against this boss because you don't need to really use any more. And if I'd have been a bit more aggressive with my shotgun at point blank range, I probably wouldn't even needed the grenades. I'm really looking forward to grinding these bosses a little bit now I've done these runs, because I want to find a place where I can absolutely decimate them consistently and then try to share those with people, because one of the biggest problems in a game such as this when you're trying to do a run like this is that everything goes well and then you get to a boss and then the boss just doesn't do what he's supposed to do. He doesn't cooperate. The strategy doesn't work as good as it did last time, and it always feels like a gamble by the time you get to the bosses. And the bosses should never feel like a gamble. They should feel consistent. But in order for them to feel consistent, you have to get consistent with them. And one of my biggest problems with the bosses in this game is now I have strategies for them that work very well. I generally don't have enough practice at having a go at them because I get them 1 to 2 attempts. Whenever you fight something and you do 1 to 2 attempts, you don't learn it as well as you would if you did 20, you know? But here's Birkin 3, sorry. Why do I keep saying 2? This commentary is worse than before. I've lost my marbles. I tried a little bit of a different run here, guys. I went for the side eye instead of going immediately for his back, and I also make a mistake here. I attack his heart again, and I give myself the 5-second knockdown instead of the 10. Never ever swing your knife until you're behind him and not touching his back completely. It's just smarter. But we have the Magnum, so it doesn't matter that I didn't do it correctly because this gun is so strong. So here he does the running attack, bait it, punish his leg, punish his back, and then wait for him to turn around. I was tempted then to try and poke him out, but it's not worth it. There's the 2-hitter. He'll have a slow recovery on this where you can shoot him. And then right here, he was about to telegraph his combo, but I put him down too quickly. And right there, I think I hit his heart again. But you'll notice I run out of knife, and because I don't have 2 knives, I'm not going to be able to do the strategy that would really wreck this boss. Happily, the Magnum's wrecked him anyway, so he's going to transition now into his 3rd phase. In his 3rd phase, I think he has about 4,000 HP. So if you throw 4 grenades at him, he will die. But I only have 2, and I don't really want to waste my grenades, so instead, we do some point blanking with the shotgun, and he's going to go and pick up the barrier over there, the wall. When he's doing these animations, he's completely vulnerable and he can be killed. However, I don't think you can kill him with a flamethrower. I think you have to hit him with a bullet. 2 more shells is going to finish this guy off to show you the kind of damage that we did. And we dunked him pretty quickly. And now you can run around the room and get your spoils of victory. There's only 2 things in this room you need. Flash grenade and then normal grenade. Those 2 items enough to carry you through the final boss, especially with the strategies I'm going to show you now. Because one of the things I wanted to kind of help with is the biggest problem about standing next to his left arm and getting the iframes is that after he does 2 cycles of attacks, he'll generally move away from you, and then he has to turn around. When he turns around, if you're in the wrong place, he'll swing and he'll hit you every time. You have to be in front of him when he settles, because if you're not, you're going to have to do something different. So whenever you get into a position where you do not feel confident in your position and you want to get back to where you were, to where you felt safe, there are a few things you can do. You can run away, bait an attack and reset him that way, or you can stun him, reset him that way, or then lastly, you can grenade him. When you grenade him, he has a stunned animation. When he recovers from the stunned animation, he recovers in the same posture every time. That posture is what you will manipulate to get back into the loop of him not being able to hit you. With the tech I've already shown you in previous videos, along with the tech I'm about to show you, you will have absolutely no excuse not to feel really comfortable with this boss, because you have so much power, you just have to practice and get the understanding of how to do it. But as we enter the Eye of the Storm, the wonderful reflective calm between the two boss fights, we get to just kind of sit in this elevator and marvel at the incredibly phallic, immense, immeasurable size of this rather large handgun. As we stare at the core, and we stare at Leon looking very dapper. I do really like this game. I'm actually really surprised by how much I like it. I'm surprised how much it's won me over too, and as much as I do love it, it still has a ton of problems which I am in no means shy about sharing. I could write a dissertation on some of the things in this game that I would love to see changed. I'd love to see slightly tweaked and altered. Here's the section where you get to be reminded that Claire's still alive, even though you haven't seen her for the full game, because they really dropped the ball when it comes to linking the scenarios, in my opinion. And now there is the final save point of the game. This is the moment where you get to dump everything, and then you get to drive the forklift truck into the gun store and equip yourself in classic Matrix fashion. Which, I suppose that kind of has a double meaning, doesn't it, that? Because in both the Matrix and, you know, Matrix from Commando, he gets kitted up with tons of guns, Neo gets kitted up with tons of guns, so that reference is a twofer that I didn't even mean to make. But I'm going to go with the shotgun here. Conventionally, I would use the pistol, because the pistol's all you need. The pistol, bring your grenades, bring whatever you want for the boss. I used to flamethrower the boss at one point because I really like the flamethrower, but nowadays I don't really recommend it. And I don't recommend it because you can't see the chuffing thing when you're shooting him with it. One of the worst things you can do in a game is affect your own visibility. And that's the biggest problem with the flamethrower. The moment you hold the trigger, you just kind of go, ooh, pretty! And then everything's gone. Like, all you can see is fire. You're in a complete and utter realm dominated by the primordial flame. And then you get smacked in the gob and you wonder where it came from. And of course it came from the huge wall of fire that you can't see through. So as effective as the flamethrower is for DPS, definitely isn't the tool of choice I would use against Final Tyrant. But here comes Mr. X. Another strategy here, that I don't do, is shoot him in the face with the deagle or the pistol. If you hit him with rapid fire bullets to the head, you can make him stunned, which is really, really nice to run past him. The Matilda's great at it as well, because for some reason Mr. X takes an additional bonus of damage from pistols, it seems. I think the last time I checked the stats that I had, I think it's 150% extra damage. So it's 50% extra damage. It's a lot. And his HP is something like 1,000 plus. I think he's got like 1,800 HP, something like that. The first bullet you do to him doesn't do the most damage, but the ones afterwards really do. But here's me showing you how to step into position after a stun against Tyrant. So did you notice how he stepped back and then he stepped one touch forward? That's the first piece of tech, so if you make him flinch, feel free to run into him. That time I was too close to the wall, so I didn't want to do it, but watch this. Stuns from the grenade, run all the way towards him, he steps forward, and you're back into the position. He'll do the 2-hit combo after this, where he does the big lunge, and you can shoot him with your weapon if you want to. I'm going to move away, I'm going to bait a move right now, and then after this move I'm going to run towards him, because you know what he's going to do, guys? He's going to do one of two things, pretty much, and we know the closer we are, the safer we are. There's the grenade stun, he moves to the side, step in front of him, reset him again. Now the concrete's dropped, I'm going to get him to break the concrete, and I'm going to show you how to get back into position. Boom, run towards him, get back in position, and then it begins again. And this is all you do, guys. That was kind of dangerous because the movement bubbled me to the left a little bit, but I managed to recover. There's another grenade. I'm not going to trust that because he's out of position and it's too close to the wall. There's a flash. Here's how you get back into range with the flash. Easy peasy, right? And then is his second hit. I'm going to shoot him with my gun, try and get a stun. No stun. Here's his one-hit kill move. Interrupt the one-hit kill move, then walk towards him. There's the reset on the one-hit kill move. And then here's the grenade launcher, and because I still have grenades, throw a flashbang. And guess what? The moment I do flashbang, he gives me the best move to run past him, which is the jump attack. Put the rocket launcher on, and then end this guy's misery. So after watching that, compound it with your own knowledge, compound it with the stuff I've done on the previous videos, and you have all the tools you need to be very comfortable with that boss. There's no reason not to be immeasurably comfortable now, because you've seen so many ways to get back into a safe position. Everything else is just court time, you know? Experience, hands-on experience, bank a bit of time against him, see those patterns, see those tells, and have a good time. And now we just have the final boss, which is a gimmick boss that I'm going to fire a rocket launcher at, and it's going to survive it, because it is a very durable boss when it wants to be. Which is to say that it only dies at a certain moment from certain triggers. But we get to sit back and watch this abomination creep slowly towards us. It certainly is a masterful piece of design. I think this is one of the most disturbing things in the game. The only problem with this boss, in my opinion, is that it makes me wish there were more abominations like this in the game to fight. Because of all the bosses, this is probably the most fair boss in the game. Which you wouldn't expect, would you, considering it's a huge, toothy wall of doom. But if you watch, this guy is going to like grip himself, and then he's going to dilate his eye just like that, and that's when it's my cue to start attacking. And there you go. Fire the rocket, don't get the kill, go in with a knife, and Crocodile Dundee that shit, you know? And there you go, guys. Leon S. Kennedy 2nd, hardcore, 1 hour 29:30, my fastest time on hardcore no damage, S+ rank with 3 saves. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, I hope it helps, and I will see you on my final S+ no damage run where we do Claire A. Thank you for watching, and you take care now.